everyone, and welcome to another video from Checkmate Tutors designed to assist you on your English for Academic Purposes or EAP course. In today's lesson we are going to discuss the purpose and importance of writing an introduction at the beginning of all essays, what needs to be included in an introduction, and how to write one yourself. The purpose of an introduction. The introduction section of an essay is much like the captain of an army regiment briefing his or her platoon on the mission ahead. A good captain will tell the soldiers he is in charge of the objectives of the mission that they hope to achieve, the route they will take to accomplish this mission, and any obstacles they may face that they will need to overcome or counteract. Such obstacles could be an enemy unit or natural hazards, for example. In an introduction, the writer takes the place of the captain as he or she walks his or her soldiers or reader through the journey ahead. The introduction of any essay should therefore simplify the title of the essay, state the purpose of the essay, state the stance that the writer has on the title, briefly justify why the stance taken is correct, and state the route that the essay will take to justify this. Think of each paragraph as a landmark on the route to the conclusion, which will summarise why the essay's line of reasoning is correct. The areas highlighted in green are more formally known as a thesis statement, and the thesis statement will include some or all of these elements depending on the type of essay that is being written. However, whilst not all elements above will need to be included in every thesis statement, every essay written must include some form of thesis statement. The importance of an essay introduction. When writing anything, whether it be a film script, a novel or an essay, the writer knows what they want the reader to find out. In short, they know the destination that their reader will arrive at, but the reader or viewer, when the script is transferred to screen, doesn't know this in the beginning. In an essay, the writer tells the reader what to expect and establishes a metaphorical path that both the reader and writer, as guide, will follow to reach the end point, having been convinced that what the writer has said is correct. The thesis statement clearly establishes what the reader will gain from the journey, and a good essay writer will consistently refer to this thesis statement in paragraphs that follow in their essay. The thesis statement also helps the writer during the drafting process to ensure that each of their paragraphs support their thesis statement. If they don't, then the essay and journey that both the reader and writer are on loses focus and becomes frustrating. Instead of readers as explorers finding out new things and gaining confidence in the guide, they could potentially get lost in the wilderness and die, or give your essay a bad grade. Therefore, it is vital that an essay you write has a meaningful introduction with a clear and provable thesis statement that can and is used throughout the essay to prove your point. If this isn't possible, much like the captain of a regiment mentioned earlier, you should consider whether your expedition should be replanned before setting off. If the writer of an essay doesn't have a thesis statement, they don't have an argument, and if they don't have an argument, they don't have an essay. What needs to be in an introduction? An introduction is at its most basic level a paragraph, and therefore despite its content being different to other paragraphs, whether they be plea or conclusion paragraphs, an introduction paragraph must follow the same basic structure as that of all other paragraphs. Therefore, it must include a topic sentence, supporting sentence, and a concluding or linking sentence. The topic sentence of any paragraph introduces what the rest of the paragraph will discuss, and the topic sentence of an introduction paragraph is no exception. The introduction will discuss the title of the essay and how the essay will respond to this title, and so therefore simplifying the title of the essay is what should be done in the first sentence or so of the essay. Look at the Berger framework for example. Introductions are the most important aspect of any essay. How far do you agree with this statement? So an ideal topic sentence and simplification of the title would be: in this essay, it will be considered whether introductions are the most important part of an essay. Next, you will need to establish the style of essay that best fits this title. As it is asking the reader how far they agree with this statement, the best essay type to write in its response to such a question is the defend essay. As we know, a defend essay is an essay in which you take up a position or stance and defend this position and attack or undermine the positions of other people on the same topic. Now that we know this is a defend essay, you need to write a supporting sentence that includes a stance. So an ideal stance for this essay would be: introductions are an essential beginning to any essay because they demonstrate to the reader what is going to be proved or discussed and in what order. This helps the reader to navigate their way through the document and know what to expect at specific points. Next, as this is a defend essay, we need to outline how our argument will unfold, justifying the stance. This is like a paragraph plan that tells the reader what aspect of the argument that supports the stance will appear in each key paragraph that follows. However, you shouldn't write in paragraph 1 X will be discussed and in paragraph 2 Y will be considered. Instead, you should write something like: firstly, it will be discussed how introductions simplify or paraphrase titles in an effort to help readers understand what the essay is about. It will then be established that introductions provide the reason that the essay has been written and what it sets out to prove, thereby helping the writer write a clear argument and set the reader's expectations. And finally, in defend essays, it provides a stance that the writer maintains throughout the essay. So in summary, the complete introduction looks like this. In this essay, it will be considered whether introductions are the most important part of an essay. Introductions are an essential beginning to any essay because they demonstrate to the reader what is going to be proved or discussed and in what order. This helps the reader to navigate their way through the document and know what to expect at specific points. Firstly, it will be discussed how introductions simplify or paraphrase titles in an effort to help readers understand what the essay is about. It will then be established that introductions provide the reason that the essay has been written and what it sets out to prove, thereby helping the writer write a clear argument and set the reader's expectations. And finally, in defend essays, it provides a stance that the writer maintains throughout the essay. As you can see, the first sentence is both the topic sentence and simplification of the title. The next sentence is both a supporting sentence and the stance. And finally, the remaining sentences act both as concluding and linking sentences, as well as justifying the writer's stance on the title. In the final parts of this lesson, you are going to attempt to sequence several introduction paragraph components in the correct order to make suitable introductions for hypothetical essays. Please download and open the resource sheet entitled Introduction Builder from the video description below and complete the activities on the sheet. Read through each jumbled introduction before writing the correct order in which the paragraph should be read by writing the correct letter in the correct order in the box below each example. Welcome back. I hope you found that task useful. The sequence of each introduction is as follows. For Introduction 1, it should read: Biofuels cause more harm than good in the developing world. In the developed world, the damage caused to developing communities is a case of out of sight, out of mind. How far do you agree with this statement? In this essay, it will be discussed how, despite the fact that biofuels provide promise to eco-conscious consumers in the developed world, many argue that despite the good intentions of the customers, the unseen damage in the developing world, such as deforestation, is not taken into consideration. B. In fact, this is an outdated notion, as whilst it could be suggested that perhaps 15 to 20 years ago, the crops required for biofuels were often planted in place of food crops. The market has been regulated, and where deforestation occurs, replanting programs have been put in place. Of course, there are rogue operators that flout these protocols. However, these are an exception to the rule. C. Firstly, historic evidence to suggest that the assertion made in the title was true will be evaluated before moving to an assessment of the situation today, including looking at case studies in both Haiti and Colombia, both countries that reportedly experienced deforestation and arable land loss to biofuels. Finally, preventative initiatives that extend into the future will also be evaluated before reaching a conclusion about the actual state of economies and lands surrounding biofuel production. Away from tabloid-style headlines. A. So as you can see, blue is our topic sentence and simplification of the title of the essay. Green highlights the supporting sentences, which are also the purpose and stance of the essay. And the pink is the justification of the stance as well as the linking sentence. Moving on to Introduction 2, it should read: Electric vehicles are not ready for mass market adoption. How far do you agree with this statement? Despite many advances in the technology surrounding battery development, there have been many reports in the media and scientific press that electric vehicles prove to be a problematic purchase choice for the average consumer. B. This paper will argue that whilst it may be true that the electric vehicle may not be a suitable purchase choice in some markets, in others it makes far more sense. Therefore, whether or not electric vehicles are ready for mass market adoption is dependent upon the market that consumers are in. The electric vehicle market shouldn't be looked at from a global perspective, and instead the market should be segmented. Each market has its own needs and push-pull factors. C. In order to support this line of argument, firstly, in general terms, some of the perceived issues that afflict the electric vehicle will be discussed. For example, temperature fluctuations, battery performance and range. This will be followed by a discussion of whether such issues are exacerbated by the climate in particular market regions, before finally discussing governmental policy in the regions in which electrical vehicle manufacturers are attempting to make market penetration. A. So as you can see, blue is our topic sentence and simplification of the title of the essay. Green highlights the supporting sentences, which are also the purpose and stance of the essay, and pink is the justification of the stance as well as the linking sentence. Finally, Introduction 3 should read: Print media is now redundant, and within the next 10 years physical versions of magazines and newspapers will no longer be in existence. How far do you agree with this statement? Since the advent of the Kindle and other so-called e-readers, there have been many discussions had in the public sphere that physical print media, such as newspapers and magazines, will soon be a thing of the past. B. In this essay, it will be asserted that whilst there has been a fall in the sale of hard copy newspapers and magazines since the advent of the e-reader and smartphone, assigning an arbitrary year in which hard copy media will cease to exist is likely to be inaccurate, and instead it would be more illuminating to look at the media consumption habits across a range of international sectors rather than to make broad statements about a supposedly homogeneous media market. A. In order to provide a more accurate response to the position that hard copy versions of newspapers and magazines will cease to exist, firstly, the media consumption habits of a variety of adults from several age brackets will be assessed, using pre-existing survey data from both the UK and Spain. Then, this will be compared to the media consumption habits of adults in similar life stages in both China and India. Finally, it will be discussed how the differing consumption habits across these markets provide a more localised and accurate picture of the likely shelf life of print media in these areas. C. So as you can see, blue is our topic sentence and simplification of the title of the essay. Green highlights the supporting sentences, which are also the purpose and stance of the essay, and pink is the justification of the stance as well as the linking sentence. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe to the channel for more educational videos.